This is the Deliberate Talks Weekly Podcast, powered by the Pixelated Egg Digital Ventures. Tune in every week to learn something new about digital marketing and entrepreneurship. And now, over to the voice of your host, Dakshin Adyanthaya. Enjoy the show.
This is the season 2 of the Deliberate Talks podcast. And after a good break of a month, here we are ready to take over 2021 with fresh stories, talk to some amazing subject leaders, and to learn something new. And in today's episode, I'm hosting someone who shares tons of stories of his personal experiences from the eyes of a UX UI professional. Be it in the washrooms of hotels or the elevator gigs, he loves looking at things with a solution to ease out users' experience. But before we converse with him, here are some fascinating facts about UX and UI. What does Forrester's study highlight? Well, it simply says every $1 invested in UX brings $100 in return. Now, that's what I call ROI. Investing in UX during a project's concept phase reduces product development cycles by 33 to 50%, quotes interaction design. And if you are wondering who coined the term UX, it was a psychologist and a designer named Don Norman in the 1990s. And more to talk about this, in today's episode, we have a user experience analyst and a designer. Out of his 26 years of work experience, he spent 16 years creating advertisements for top brands in India, such as Airtel, Colgate, Tata Motors, Reliance Industries, Taj Hotels, Marico, and many more. Today, he also teaches user experience at the Miami Ad School as well as the Academy of Architecture. Here's introducing Saurabh Karandikar. Hello, Saurabh. Welcome to the Deliberate Talks podcast. Thank you for making it today.
Hi, Dakshin. We are talking after a long time, and I would say that I'm really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So how has the new year started for you? Just reading back at your bio, you have so many things that you have done even before getting into UX. So firstly, tell me about your new year plans and then we'll get into what you've been doing.
New year plan then in context of what you're saying, sticking to user experience. I mean, that is what I will do in 2021. But yeah, I mean, just to answer that, the new year has started with some hope, which the scientific community has shown us. But we are skeptics in general as a population. So let's see how things go. The first thing that I'm irritated about is everybody working from home. And yeah, I mean, you know what? I mean, there are 2 school sessions and 2 office sessions happening at the same time in my house every day. Right. So that's like maybe the New Year resolution is to build walls. Okay, and soundproof certain quarters of my room. So I a number of BHKs I would like to increase.
So I'm just going to get into a little bit of your bio as well, like I mentioned earlier. Sure. Door-to-door salesman, directed theatre plays, worked in advertising space, and then finally indulged into the world of UX. Let's start with when and why did you decide to shift your career into UX? Right. More importantly, what is UX? What does a UX person do? And I also want to keenly know from you, why is user experience termed as UX and not UE?
Okay. There are, like right now you're given me a kind of list of questions. I feel like walking in the examination hall. So so first things first, and I'm anyway. You know what? I'll start with the career one, and then we can go ahead. I was, as we know, I was part of advertising industry for about 16 years. I started my career with Interact Vision, which was part of Mudra. Then I went to Avenues, then Rediffusion YNR. I stayed there for 10 years, which is unlikely for somebody in advertising. And by 2010, I was feeling a little tired of it all. As in, I had done everything. I mean, I had won the awards which are necessary to, stay in advertising in that sense. Mm-hmm. And I was feeling that I was repeating myself. I mean, I was doing a lot of things which are like kind of repetitive. It was interesting. I mean, advertising is interesting, and I still love advertising. It's not over yet between me and advertising. But 2010, I had a bit of a health issue and even some issues in family. So it kind of gave me a chance to take a break. which I did. I didn't go to another agency. I just left from Rediffusion and wanted to focus on my health, which never happened. Everybody's laughing about it now at home. But what happened was I was free and the word got out. And I used to work for this technology company called Quantum Link Communication. And Ajit Menon, who's the CEO and the founder, I mean, we are like friends now after so many years of working together. And I used to literally just do, small things like brochures, logos, and stuff like that, whatever an art person does in his free time. And he got to know that I was free and he said that, oh, so you're not doing anything right now. I said, no, I'm nothing. So he said, come over. I want to show you something. So I went to his office and he showed me the very software that I used to do ads for. Okay. I never saw this software, right? I just used to do the advertising and brochures and all that. And he said that one of my clients said that your brochures look better than the program. So if you have some time, can you look inside the application? And I said, okay. So I looked at it. I made it look nice, as in UI design. Now we will come to that when we talk today. But I did a good UI design job. As in I made it, that software interface look exactly like my brochures and ads. And it was like shiny. It was like nice kind of fonts and colors and everything. And I took it back to them and I said that, okay, this is it. So I've designed it for you. So he said, now this is good looking shit. So I said, what do you mean? I mean, I worked very hard on this. So he says that, no, you don't get it. It's not about how it looks. It's about, has it understood the users? And is it easy for somebody to use? And is it something which creates a meaningful user experience? And that was the first time that I heard about this term called user experience. And he went on to tell me a little bit more about it. He got me interested in it. And he said that you must sit in a classroom and learn this. So I went to Human Factors International, HFI, and did their certification courses and all that. And in the process, of course, I designed the software. That happened almost over an entire 1 year period. And in advertising, we have, like a campaign which will run for about a month, or say a poster which needs to be created in a day, or something which happens in a week. And I did one software design for entire year. It was culture shock to spend that kind of time on something. And after that, I got the hang of it. Then 22 Feet contacted me and I did some stuff for Marico. And then it kind of went on. I started working for my old pals from advertising. I did some stuff for Ogilvy also. I did some stuff for TBWA. So off and on projects, pitches, everything, but it was not advertising. I was not talking to marketing heads. I was talking to product heads. I was talking to the CEOs of the companies, and therefore the focus kind of changed. I was no longer working in promotion of a product. I was designing the product itself. So that's when it changed, but it took me about a decade to understand it completely. I'm just saying it. Now I understand user experience a little bit, I would say.
So what is user experience? What does a person do? And more importantly, why is user experience called UX and not UE? Let's come to that.
I just walked into it, right? Because I just said that I know about user experience now, but I also said little bit. I'm very, conditions apply. I'm from advertising, don't forget. So I know exactly, asterisk, kidding aside. Let us talk about it. See, any system, when I say system, it may be a computer-driven system such as, say, even the ATM machine, for instance, an app on your mobile phone, or a desktop, application such as, say, Zoom, for instance, or any other thing that we use to, have video conferencing, or Outlook, or anything. It creates a kind of experience. Okay? It's either negative or positive. I mean, we either understand it, we don't understand certain parts, we like certain parts, we, would like to learn, or just would not like to use it. Just to give an example, there is worldwide data which suggests that when you download an application on your mobile phone, and if it doesn't make any sense to you, on an average, the life of an application is just 1 week. Either you delete it or you stop using it. It's death, essentially, for the application. So in that 1 week, it has to create a bond with you. That means it has to exert a kind of positive user experience with you. You should have a great experience using that. So one of the things that I've always found that when we talk about user experience, it doesn't start from experience as much as it starts from usability. I should be able to use something, right? First. I mean, if I can't use an application, how am I going to like it? Or how am I going to have any kind of experience with it? Because I won't go ahead and do anything, right? So at a very basic level, it has to be usable. Then any system needs to become engaging and delightful. Now, there are lots of systems that cannot go there, as in say GST, for instance. Okay, we pay GST. That system cannot be delightful, right? Because it takes money away from us.
Right.
But it can be easy to use. I mean, it can be something which doesn't create any errors and doesn't make us feel like an idiot when it comes to computer systems.
Right.
So, and on the other hand, there are things like what we love to use. I mean, they may be hardwares, say iPhone, for instance, or Apple Watch, and those are the things that when you use them, although they cost a kidney nowadays, but when you use them, you want others to use it also.
Right.
There is some feeling about it, saying that you have something and say, what, you're buying a phone, go for XYZ. Okay, if you're going for a Android phone, go for this one, or iOS, go for this one. There is always that recommendation which happens.
Right.
All my friends are now almost irritated by it. I always go and say Apple. I mean, I always tell them to buy Apple phones, and I'm not about to give them any personal loans for that. But I always say that go for that. In all this, Apple has not paid me a single rupee for me to do their promotion. But at the same time, they have converted me into an advertising machine for them. But that experience that the product created with me has pushed me to promote their product, recommend their product. And that is the ultimate victory in user experience. Right. So if you create such an experience that you no longer have to pump money in advertising. WhatsApp, do you remember WhatsApp? Do you even remember how you started, using WhatsApp? Right. You don't. I remember in Inception, there is this dialogue. Now, do you really know when a dream starts? So, I won't say that WhatsApp is a dream, but I'm just saying that you don't remember it. Most probably, it was something like your friend said, "Hey, do you have WhatsApp on your phone?" So you would say,
and it was free of cost, right?
It was free of cost. Yeah. That is the most delightful thing, that I don't have to pay anything for it. So I will take it. And perhaps the first reason was to just go through a long winding joke that somebody had forwarded to you or something like that, right? So that is how it started. They didn't spend any money on advertising, right? Facebook, there was no ads, or the other way to talk about it is there is no class which says that we teach you how to use WhatsApp. Right. We teach you how to use in 1 week. Get to know, WhatsApp and Instagram and everything. Right. But do you know that there have been classes of Microsoft Office? Yeah. There have been classes of Windows and all that. Why? Because it is so easy to use. It is so intuitive for you to figure out how to do certain things, like add a friend or send pictures or upload pictures, and everything is so easy. Right. That means that they have taken care, or they have rather planned the experience, okay, for a person to have. So they have visualized how it will be for somebody to download the application, use the application, and that is the planning, is that user experience design that we talk about. So that's the planning. To answer the question, which I remember, one of the several questions that you asked me was to why UX and not why UE. Right. Okay. Experience. Perhaps that's why it has taken root, and I know that it is like, see, English is a funny language, right? So even here it is so. So I have never seen anyone use UE, for that matter, and do as Romans do. So if people are calling it UX, okay, fine, I'll call it UX. For instance, GIF, graphical interchange format, right? Yep. So it should be called GIF. People call it GIF. Right. So some people do call it GIF, and I don't like them. But I choose to call it GIF, and that is the way things are. Right. So,
interestingly, Saurabh, that there's a part to it which says UE apparently has close to around 45 to 47 different full forms, whereas UX has around 9, and hence people prefer calling it UX. Also, UX is a little cooler to call than UE.
Oh yeah, the X factor. The point is that, it is cooler to say. And UE, if it is already taken, then the designers who designed the experience for the word UX have thought through. this experience, and then they have created that.
Right.
So,
There's one other interesting part when you were talking about the experience part of it
yeah,
and the
yeah.
WhatsApp example. I went to this place yesterday. I don't want to name it. And they have a very interesting thing because of the social distancing where you have to download the app for placing your order. And their app is called the place name and it's called Updated 2.0. And
App name is, oh my
yes.
God. Okay.
And when you download it
Uh-huh.
and you realize there's so much to look for to order, the waiter comes and says, "Sir, did you download the app? Now you can place the order to me." So what he's realized is, I think he's the one who's actually realized the user experience is not great. Let
I
me
know.
make my customer experience at least
I know.
good.
So it's like it comes as an apology. Now I'm going to give you a similar example. There's a restaurant,
Okay.
and you go to that restaurant, and if you're about to place an order, the person hands you an iPad. Okay.
Okay.
So you're supposed to just order from the iPad,
Mm-hmm.
which is cool, which is nice. I mean,
Right.
you just go through and it's not such a bad app. What is there on that? So
Right.
so you can order, perhaps by accident you may order, 4 coffees instead of one. Those kind of things happen, but that's okay. So you do that, and you finalize your order and you send it. There is a button called submit, as it would be. The moment you press the button submit, what would you expect in that setting? Like, you do that,
Mm-hmm.
and voila, there should be food on your
Yeah.
table, right?
Right.
After some time. So
Right.
that is what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
But no, the waiter comes around with his iPad and reads out the entire thing to you first and says, "Is this what you wanted to order?" So I said, "Yeah, but then why are you talking to me? If you have given me the iPad, I already ordered. Why are you talking to me, man?
Uh-huh.
You should just, buy." I thought that you're coming here to say that, sorry, we don't have XYZ, and I can take that, back-end issues,
Right.
that it shows a particular item and it is not there. And no. Every time you go to this restaurant, this is the ritual. Yeah, the person has to come. So one day I just grabbed him and I said that, no, you have to tell me, why are you doing this? Okay, fine. Your boss has told you that you have to repeat the order to the customer and then go in and say, okay, I confirm it. So you have a confirmation dialogue or something on your iPad. Says, no, nothing. I just have your order, which is already with me, with the cook, with the manager, perhaps somebody, who's hacking the system also. But there is nothing else. It's the same order. So I said, then why? So then he said that there are several instances where people have placed the order. They have clicked on something which they did not want to click on.
Mm-hmm.
And, but there is a confirmation also, Dakshin. There
Right.
is a screen which says you have ordered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like just like we have in Swiggy or whatever. And then you say, yes, I want that. And you say confirm. So after you say confirm, you don't want another interaction, which is just repeating it, right?
Right.
But it happens. They're apologetic about the user experience. Now, I'm again using this word user experience without us having a scientific conversation about it, what it is. But you must have got an idea. So
Right.
this is it's not easy.
Right.
It's not easy for me to use that app, and it's not easy for them to tolerate mistakes which are made by the customers and apologize again and then do whatever. So they rather come to you and say, boss, you have pressed on these things. Do you know that you have pressed on these things? So and it makes me more hungry, man, because
Right.
I've already placed the order after deliberations, after fighting with my friends, and then this happens.
Right.
So,
But this reminds me of a very interesting meme on UX, which says, "Not sure if the design is bad or the user is stupid." So, what makes you think? What are some of the design principles and best practices for UX in that case?
I think we should start from the one that you mentioned right now. User is always right, first of all. Okay. If there is a problem that user is facing, it's most probably that you have not anticipated the use case. So the first and foremost principle of user experience in my mind is user centricity.
Right.
You have to design the app not around the technology, not around the resources, not around the budget, but you have to design the app around the customers. So you must first understand the customers.
Right.
So I mean, this is a classic change in the time also, Dakshin. I'm now thinking back, and I'm just thinking when I was young. which I'm not anymore. But my father used to be a little scared about touching the computer at home. Okay, my computer. I used to work on it. I used to design on it. And he never touched it. So I said, what? I mean, you can sit and use the computer, just create another folder called dad and, use whatever you want to do over there. So he said, no. What if I touch something accidentally and you lose all your data? And I said, but it's not going to happen. And even today, when my mother is using a phone and he says that, you know what, I have a problem. I don't understand this particular feature. So it's my fault. Okay. So this is the generational thinking. Our previous generation thought about it like, if there is a problem, I can't use something, it's my problem. It's not the problem of the phone. But today, if you give a phone in somebody's hand, say a kid's hand, and he takes it and says, this is a stupid phone, I can't use it. Right? So what has happened is the power structure equation which is there between technology and the user has changed. And therefore, user has become to whom the technology should serve. So therefore, technology needs to be designed around the user. Right. And that creates several challenges and problems also, because we are not alike, right? All Windows computers are the same, right? But all people are not the same. So in past, it has been the practice that, okay, if people are the variable factor, then ask them to undergo some kind of training to be able to use the computer. But that thinking has gone away. I know for a fact that the first computer mouse, which was created in Xerox Park laboratories, the first mouse, there was a 40-day course of how to use the mouse. Okay. Now it will not happen, because it's like, we are handling phones which have more complicated tech compared to, say, a satellite which was launched 16 years back. Now we have that much of technology power and no training whatsoever to use it. So imagine tomorrow you sit in a cockpit of a plane, you're not a trained pilot, but you're supposed to fly it. It might just happen, Dakshin, that the technology will be designed around the user. So, like Matrix, you will suddenly understand how to fly a plane. And so that is what happens. So again, in your meme also, it says that, is the design bad or the user is stupid? User is not stupid. I can give you an example. Now, imagine you're standing on the third floor of a building, right? And you want to go down to the ground floor. There is an up button, there is a down button. You'll press the down button. Probably, right? So you'll press the down, go down. But I have seen educated people, eminent people, senior people, and even kids, they press the up button. Okay, so there are not too many. There are people who press. So once I caught up one auntie and asked, Auntie ji, aapko niche jana hai na? Why are you pressing the top button? So she said, I am pressing it so that the elevator comes up to take me down. Right. Now to me, the first reaction was, Auntie ji is stupid. Okay, because no, come on. I mean, 99% of the people press the down button. So this person must be an idiot. But after my training in user experience, I changed my statement. And I said that, no, Auntie G is not stupid. There exists two population within user groups. So there are two user groups. One, which is slightly larger than the other, but one presses the down button and the other presses up button. Abhi kya kare? So right. if you're designing a system for users, you have to acknowledge that there are several types of users and all of them are right. So therefore, you have to design for all of them.
Right.
And personalize, so to say.
Right. And how does this resonate from a business standpoint of view? How does UX really help businesses? Tell me more from your client projects and how have they helped in improving businesses and their experience for their customers.
Right. So one of the tasks that I have as a user experience designer or user experience consultant to companies is to first convince them about the dollar value or the rupee value of user experience. And typically what is known as ROI, return on investment, because it's a discipline. It's not a very, it's not cheap to get user experience designers on board. So you are investing in them. You are not spending the money, you're investing in them. But what is the ROI? Any business person is going to ask you that question. If I'm putting this much money in user experience, what am I getting as a result? So many conversations that I've had with my clients begin in this fashion. that I try to tell them what is likely to happen because of your user experience engineering, because your design outcomes, and how can you relate that to something that you can go to your board and talk to the chairman and say, see, this is what we did. So let me try to explain it without getting into details of a specific industry or a specific kind of application. Let us first look at just efficiency, nothing else. Just let's look at a software which is difficult to use versus easy to use. And let us talk about enterprise kind of scenario. So we are not talking B2C in that sense. We are not talking business to consumers. We are talking business to business. Let's say the internal software of a company, for instance. And you are supposed to do your work using that software. Now, if I look at what you need at every time, I do enough research to understand the user, understand the conditions in which that user is carrying out the work, and if I make it easier for that person to do. So imagine that there is one entry that takes about 5 minutes for someone, and after I design it, it becomes 3 minutes. I have potentially saved 2 minutes of that person's time. Now, if you take that 2 minutes, which is out of 5 minutes, so now you know that, if you do the calculation, you're saving many hours in a month, or many hours in the year. And if you look at the salary of that person, that is the time that you have saved. That is the money that you have saved. So therefore, the person becomes more efficient, can do more entries, and therefore your overall efficiency of the operation of the department goes up.
Right.
Now that is being seen by people that I work with in some of the clients situations. They have seen that now it is much easier for people to understand what is there. I don't have to train the people, take them to a resort and call it offsite and train them to use the software. Instead of that money they have used to pay the likes of me.
Right.
And said that, okay, but we have saved the money because now you don't have to again and again answer the question of a new employee saying that how to do this, how to do that. It's so evident in the design that they don't have to even care about it. Now let's go B2C, because that will be the app economy which is there today. And I'm sure that the number of Indian applications which are there on the scene right now is going to just blow in proportion.
Right.
So the overall environment is conducive now. Everybody is working from home. There is more reliance on the applications and everything. So B2C, if you are making something delightful, making something interesting for people to purchase, the nudges that you can give to someone while somebody is shopping for, say, item 1, and if you can upsell item 2 to that person by just saying that because you bought this, it looks like you may be interested in XYZ.
Right.
Okay, now those are small things which we just assign to Amazon and saying that this is Jeff Bezos' mind. No, it is the user experience designers which are there inside Amazon who are doing all this. If you find that even if Netflix is the most expensive of those OTT platforms, you still have the subscription to Netflix and you can't really go away. It's because of the experience that is there, that they have built. Even the simplest button that they design, they have an internal artificial intelligence system which tells them what to say in a particular country, in a particular situation, and to a particular age person, so that that person clicks on start your free trial. Okay,
Right.
it's as simple as that, as small as that. But those are the small things that make a lot of difference. Can I give 2 examples in that same? One is, this is what I love about these 2 applications, and I'm going to just say out that I'm in love with these. One is Swiggy, and the other one is Book My Show. Although we are not attending too many movie screenings right now, but if you go back in 2019 and if you remember how you purchased your tickets in Book My Show,
Right.
there is one screen which comes up when you select a movie and whatever, which just shows a small scooter, and it says that 2 as the number of tickets is selected. Right? So why did they do that? Why it is always 2? So it's kind of obvious, right? Once you think about it, that going to movies is a typical action which is performed by 2 people.
Right.
Most likely, 80% of the time it will be 2 people going to movies.
Right.
So they have pre-selected 2 as a number of tickets that you want to buy, and they've already calculated the amount and shown you over there on the button. And you just click on it and that's it. So it's amazing. These are the small things which make my life slightly easier. I'm going to love it. And just to counter this, I must tell you a conversation that I had with my friend the other day.
Mhm.
He said that, but I hate it. I said, okay, why? So he said that I always like to go to movies alone.
Makes
Okay.
sense.
So
Okay.
fine. So you, of all the people, want to go to movies alone where 80% of the Indian population wants to go at two.
Right.
So I said, but so I find it irritating. Every time I open the screen, I have to switch from two to one.
Hmm.
Okay. And although I don't work for Book My Show, I said that, okay, I just took the role of Book My Show designer. And I said that, okay, fine. What if this happens?
Mm-hmm.
That because you switch it from two to one almost three times, and your user behavior is something which is observable, that means something which can be recorded, so to say. And if the server has enough information to say that this person always changes from two to one, will you be delighted if from the fourth time onwards it's always pre-selected to one?
Hmm.
And he said, that will make sense, because that is like, then the app understands me. And therefore it is, one thing less, even for me, even if I don't belong to that 80% of audience.
Mm-hmm.
And that is creating personalized user experience, which goes beyond generally statistically creating a user experience, which they have done. It's great. But one step going beyond, they can actually create an experience for somebody, not just remembering last time what you have clicked, but what have you clicked so far in your all bookings. And therefore they will have a much richer information gathered on a person to be able to give them a customized experience.
Right. And that's where Swiggy and Zomato really scores higher.
Oh yeah.
Reminding you of actually what you had last, which is your favorite places that you order from, and would you like to order that again, kind of next.
Yeah.
Right?
And one of the things that's why Swiggy was one of the examples that I was using. And for that, did you like your food last time? Like, there is a Likert scale, as we call it, like, 5-star rating scale,
Right.
which then you tend to give it 5 stars. It's just like Uber also, you tend to give it 5 stars.
Mm-hmm.
If you give 3 stars, they ask you what went wrong.
Right.
so if you give 5 stars and all that, it just disappears. Like even WhatsApp, when you finish a WhatsApp call, there is always this, how was this call?
Mm.
And you give 5-star rating, and there is a comment also, and you can, but the most important thing that I see over there is a button called not now.
Right.
Okay, because you may be in a rush. So that is what the designer has allowed for, that the person is so much in a rush, don't ask me for a review of what just happened.
Right.
So you can just discard. And as opposed to that, now I'm going to talk about a bad user experience. Let us not say which mobile service, but there is a mobile service where the app asks you this question: how are you finding this experience? Okay, and there is a 5-star scale, which, by the way, the design is so bad that it looks like it is already selected. So I thought, okay, you have already given yourself 5 stars. So I'll just say, okay, submit. It didn't get. So then I realized, so these stars are empty. I'm supposed to tap on that. So I did that. And when I submitted, it said, so say a few things about it. And I said, what do you mean? I don't have the time to tell you how great you are.
Right.
I just want to give you 5 stars now. Please take it and run away. Why are you asking me to say something? But it insisted that I do that. Otherwise, that action was not completed. That means my rating did not go to them, even after I was happy with them.
Wow.
So now those are the kind of things which kind of irritate me. Setting up user expectations is a mark of good user experience design. So that means it is already second guessed or already knows what I would feel.
Mm-hmm.
In the same thing, like Swiggy, for instance, you give an order, and after the order, that means after you make the payment, there is a blank screen. And then one small animation happens. There is a circle and a tick mark and says, yay, order received.
Mm-hmm.
That is something which is thought through very well. Okay. Because at that time, what we are wondering about without saying it in so many words, has it happened? Have I really made this? Have I lost my money in transit somewhere? Is it really understood? And that confirmation is something which puts my mind at ease.
Right.
And those are the small micro interaction, as we call them, micro interactions, which are so necessary to create a great user experience.
Right, absolutely. And where is this leading, Saurabh? I mean, I came across the top UX design trends of 2021, which were shared by 99 Designs.
Okay.
And considering the journey and the experience, the top 8 learnings gives importance to the likes of individual learning capabilities, live collaborations, augmented reality, the integration of voice. What do you think are the trends to look out for this year, and where is this leading for UX trends?
There are always technology trends which seem to be something that will happen, which will be only present in the next 6 months. Okay. People say that now only let's talk about technology first and then user experience.
Right.
Kind of connected. That's why. But when Oculus Rift happened, everybody said that, oh, VR is going to be everywhere. I'm still waiting, by the way. So it's one of those things that the time for a technology has to come for it to be everywhere. It's voice assistants, for instance. A couple of years back, they were not there as much as now. Alexa is somebody who's like another member in the family,
Right.
which is quite inquisitive. But and there are lots of jokes also floating about, memes which are floating about. Somebody says, Alexa, call 911, and Alexa says, call 911 has been added to your shopping cart. That kind of thing is already happening. So I would say that as a trend, there are always those technology enthusiasts who will tell you that augmented reality is the thing which will happen.
Right.
Okay. What happens is that we always consider the tech-friendly target audience when we think like this. We think about ourselves. If you ask me, I am going to think more about augmented reality and artificial intelligence, and therefore it should be everywhere. No, but think about the poor person on the street who is going through this crazy pressure to make online payments right now because he can't use cash or because he can't go across to some place and buy something. And that person is at the beginning of the ladder, who's going to say that okay, I'm being forced to accept technology, and if the experience that person is going to have is bad, then you are not going to have enough takers. It's always that critical mass of users that need to be created for any technology to get ahead. Right. So that's the technology side. On the user experience side, I would say that the trend is now it's going to be the sensitivity in general about user experience is going to grow in my mind. The reason is the pandemic. People are dependent on technology, and as a result, in some cases, more productive also. I was talking to some executives and they were saying that this life is much better than traveling through Mumbai streets and going across to my office. I can do much more by sitting at home. But we also have to acknowledge that not everyone is going to say that, because not everyone has the luxury to stay at home and work on applications and get their work done through technology. Right. So to get more people in the fold of creating larger user base, businesses and companies will have to think about user experience. I'll give you an example of internet banking. Okay. Mobile banking, internet banking. It was there, right? I remember it being there for last 15-20 years. Banking online, but it is now that certain, if you look at the UPI data, you will get to know that more online payments are happening in last 2 years. Right. Since the demonetization, and even now more so. And why is that happening? Because there is acceptance. There is wide acceptance. So if you want to look at trends, the trend will be to understand the technophobes basically. And let them use technology as easy as possible. So if you really ask me where it is going, what you said in the beginning of this question, it is going towards invisible technology. That means it should not be there. It should do stuff for you. Right. Okay, so there are some young designers that I meet in art schools, and they're saying that, okay, so UI design is what I should look at, and I should look at creating stuff on mobile. But there are technologies which are being developed which takes the screen itself away from you. So then why are you stuck to designing a screen? It may not be so, but user experience designers will still be required to almost write the the conversation between technology and the human being. So that is perhaps the trend. I may be wrong, because whoever says the trend is this, that chance that I will be completely wrong. But I'm still willing to say that all pervasive technology will be there, whether we like it or not. But it will only stay, or the competitive advantage that if somebody wants to talk about right now, that it will be user experience. Right. Because if you don't pay attention to your users and how are they feeling and how are they conducting their business through your application or through your programs or whatever, you are going to lose out in the competitive arena. So user experience will be paramount. there will be a huge need for user experience professionals, and I'm not sure whether we are geared to actually, create so many user experience designers overnight, frankly.
Wow. Superb, Saurabh. That brings us to the end of first segment of questions. I am now going to make this a little more swift. This is the rapid fire round, and it's time to have some fun with some bullet speed questions coming your way.
Oh my God. Okay.
Are you ready for this?
I don't know. It's okay. Go on.
Okay. How important is empathy in the life of a UX designer?
100%.
Okay. Gamification is a boon or abused by a UX point of view?
See, it's like gamification is something which is being like, it's a buzzword, but at the same time, if you over gamify something, people will see through it. So if somebody is going to say that, oh, let's see how many calls you make through this mobile service and we'll give you some, come on. I'm not going to go there, right? So yeah, our internal people saying that, XYZ made a lot of, his performance is more than you. Now you please compete. It doesn't work like that. So gamification can be a double-edged sword. That's why it needs to be well understood. But it has potential.
Okay. From a UX professional point of view, what skills one should develop and what are the kind of programs or courses one should ideally go ahead with?
Okay, we already have said empathy. It is putting yourself in other people's shoes, which is the most important as for user experience designer. I must say that the term designer is kind of scary for some people. It says that you have to go to an art school and you have to become a visual designer. It's not like that. Right. User experience designer can be a psychologist, can be a technology person, can be a designer. So it is not a standard way of getting into user experience design. One. But there are several courses available. I think there are more courses now. Somebody just told me that this college is also offering UX design. Somebody else is offering UX design. I don't know whether they're teaching it right or wrong, and I don't want to comment on it. But it's good to see that there are several courses attempting that. But at the same time, please understand that it is not 1 + 1 is equal to 2 kind of science to teach. It is with empathy that you have to teach user experience. Having said that, there are, of course, Human Factors International. As I said, that I'm a certificate holder from there. It's an international organization. They do train people in usability and user experience. There are several courses nowadays which are offered by IIT Mumbai also. There is one specific course which is taken by Professor Anirudh Joshi, if I'm not wrong. And there are several service design courses which are coming up. That's also nice. Miami Ad School, where I teach, they do provide a course. It's not a course, it's a portfolio course. User experience is part of that. So which I'm teaching. So there are more user experience design courses than they were when I entered this particular industry. But one good thing to remember is that don't look at UX courses. UX is a very small part of something called HCI, human computer interaction. So if you hear about certain courses even abroad that you can do, by correspondence or something like that. So keep that in mind.
Fair enough. And moving on to, do UX designers then get paid well? Now, according to the job portals in Glassdoor, the average base pay for a UX designer in US is approximately $85,000 a year. What's the opportunity like in India and other countries?
By the way, it's 85,000. You're saying it. In some cases, it is 100,000 also.
Right. So the starting one is basically mentioned an average of $75,000 to $85,000 a year.
Yeah. I don't know. See, because I never worked for an organization. So I don't know from that angle job profile. But I would say that it's going up because the importance is well received by or it has started to be received by the industry. Because it is simple. No? If your job is crucial to the bottom line or crucial to the business making profit, there will be more investment in that, and there will be more reliance on user experience professionals. Right. But at the same time, I am scared right now. I'm scared about people saying that they're user experience designers, but they are something else. Okay, they are UI designers. They say that they're user experience designers. There are developers who say they are user experience professionals. And if they're aspiring, it's great. But that equivalency test, so to say, is not there for somebody to know what is the mark of a great user experience designer. Your performance obviously will prove it when you get hired. So typically the people who are hiring will look for certain kind of certification in HCI or certain kind of certifications in user experience design or usability for them to be acquired. But it's comparable to what you just told me about the US number. I don't think that we are paying that kind of money here.
Okay.
And the reason for that is we want UX unicorns. Okay, something that America quickly gave up, I would say, on an average. We still want one person to do everything. We want to hire someone as UI designer and make that person do UX. We want to hire a designer who can code also, so that we don't have to spend money on developers. So there are lots of mid-sized companies who still are in that we want a UX unicorn kind of space.
Right.
So they don't want to pay for UX designer, but they want to get done UX work from somebody who is within that area of operation. And that's not right, not wise also for businesses. So I have seen clients of all sorts, Dakshin. I mean, I've seen people who are so well aware about user experience and the importance of it that I don't have to do any selling also.
Makes
right?
sense.
So, and there are some people who just don't understand.
Okay.
And they say, why are you charging so much? Because I said, because I'm using so much of my time. I'm using my experience. I'm doing research. I'm understanding users. I'm not just sitting with, say, Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop and suddenly designing something.
Right. Great. Your first reaction with a live platform with a beautiful UX UI journey and has gone live with Lorem Ipsum written on it. What would your reaction be?
It has gone live with Lorem Ipsum.
Yeah.
My response will be dollar is it. I will also talk in Latin then, because if the interface is talking in Latin, no, that means that somebody is screwed up. So it means that somebody looked at, oh, so nice looking, and that's the problem. It's not a superficial thing. It's not UI sleekness which will impress people. Actually, in some cases, if your UI is too sleek, people actually run away. I've seen that. So there was one website which we were designing, and somebody said that no, this is looking too sleek. So I said, what is the problem? I mean, because see, Apple is God, and everybody would like to design like Apple, and we had done that. Something my team only had done that. So I took it across, and they said, "Nahi, aisa mat karo. Just make it a very, very straightforward something." So I said, "But why?" So I said, no, the strata of audience that this is going to, they may fear that this is too expensive and run away from that particular experience. So everything cannot look like Harman Kardon speakers, and everything cannot look like Apple. Although you may love Apple, but do love them for their attention that they give to user experience. Don't look at the font that they use and the kind of grayscale that they use and be wowed by the white space which is around. No, that's the wrong thing to be impressed by.
Right.
It's usability. It's the experience that they create. So I would say sleek thing is like saying that this gift wrapper was amazing looking, and when you opened it, it was Lorem Ipsum.
Right. Okay. And funniest thing someone has told you when you were pitching a UX story?
It was actually funniest as in there was one statement which was made by my client, and it was early days of me doing UX, so it was kind of interesting. I was very insistent upon one kind of design. And that person was insistent upon another kind, like the same thing that we are talking about, those lift buttons.
Right.
So I said that, but that is common sense, right? And he turned around and said, you know what, Saurabh, your common sense and my common sense are not common. I said, okay, fine, I understand. Like I said, it was early days, and it has been almost a decade afterwards, and I know better now. So that was too funny.
Super. So I'm going to move into the last question of the segment. This is from Hanan Firoz. And she quotes, what's the difference between content writing and UX writing?
Okay. I would say that the borderlines are, kind of blurry, because when you are writing content for a website, and if you don't think about user experience, then that's not the ideal situation, first of all. And say, but content writing essentially is about giving the user material to go through, absorb, accept, understand, right? So all the rules of journalistic writing or advertising writing apply over here. It has to be interesting. It has to be quick. It has to be something that you don't have to go round and round before you make your point. So it has to be crisp and all that. But now let's talk about the user experience side of it. And what we call, just to inform the person who questioned this, we call it micro copy. Okay, so it is one of those things that what you write on a button, or what you write in 3 words, or what is it that you write as a top navigation of a website, or what comes after you do some act, like the Swiggy one says, "Yay, order received." You remember that? So what was the need for you to say "yay" over there? But it was that joy, that delightfulness which had to come there because you accomplished something right now. Okay, so or if something goes wrong, how would you how would you deal with it? So there was one company's, I mean, this is something which is just a aside. We were designing a insurance company's website, and they required a 404 error page, which is like somebody did something on the website and you could not give the page to it because of several things, like connectivity issues or whatever, and 404 or wrong URL was typed or whatever. So 404 error. So what we said was, okay, let's do it like this. I said something went wrong from our side. We are fixing it. But it shouldn't, I mean, I'm just saying it without quoting the actual line here. I'm trying to say it in other words. But basically, it said that something broke down and it may happen in your life also. And we are glad that you are doing something about it, which is that you're on, insurance website. So therefore, you are taking care of possibly things going wrong in your life. So that was the error message. So writing those things requires a different kind of skill. And I would say that content writing, advertising writing, these are the areas of specialization which are not too far away from it. It's not to say that every single advertising writer will become a good user experience writer, but somebody who can display empathy in 2 words or few words is the person that user experience is looking for. Because we literally have a second to make an impression on someone. It's like, I remember in my advertising days, whenever we presented a concept to a client, we always presented a hoarding, outdoor design. And I asked my creative director that time that, why are we doing this? They are not going to do outdoor advertising. Why are we doing this? He said, no. This is to say that if you pass by this hoarding, you will have maybe less than 3 seconds to look at it. Right. So if I can deliver my idea in 3 seconds, that is the test of that idea. If I can get my point across in that much time. So like that, it is kind of a younger brother to content writing, but the relationship is complicated. But same skills are required. Only thing is, it's like different kind of putting yourself in the shoes or the place of the person. That kind of empathetic thinking is required over here.
Super. Well done, Saurabh. This has been very informative.
Was it a great user experience? Was it a user experience?
I'm sure it's going to be a great listener experience.
Okay, good.
Fantastic stuff, Saurabh. Thank you so much for your time. This was really fun. And thank you so much for being a part of the Deliberate Talks podcast. I hope you had fun.
Of course. Yeah, I mean, it's always great talking to you.
Fantastic, Saurabh. I will look forward to chatting with you more often. And wish you all the best for 2021.
You too. Thank you.
Well, that's it for today's episode. Does your business focus on user experience yet? If not, this probably is a great starting point. If you have any feedback about the show, mail it to thedeliberattalks@gmail.com, and don't forget to follow our social media channels and our audio platforms. See you next week for more stories, and until then, inspire and be inspired.